Probably one of the reasons I love swimming so much is because I can meet my besties, who luckily have all discovered a love of submerging themselves in salt water in recent years. Post-swim chats often involve solving the world's problems over some homemade scones or cakes or cookies, of course. We often spend hours debating why so many women, perhaps of a certain age too, have taken to the water in much larger numbers than men. You only need to go to any organised swim to see the women outnumber the men there by multiples of 5 or 6. We've largely come to the conclusion that it's down to a number of factors. The chance to leave the chores or the desk behind where nobody can text or call you for that hour you're in the water, the love of immersing yourself in nature, leaving the kids or the husband behind to be with like-minded friends, and the wonderful sense of freedom in abandoning your clothes for either light togs or a dark uniform of neoprene that hides all your imperfections. We came to the conclusion that it was some or all of the above, and that was one of the conversations we had yet again last weekend as we made our way to one of our favourite annual swims, the Great Fjord Swim in Killary Harbour, in a magnificent setting on the Galway-Mayo border. The swim, organised by Gaelforce, is the biggest organised swimming event in Ireland and draws hundreds of competitors from all around Ireland and beyond for the 750 metre, 2 kilometre and 3.9 kilometre routes in the fjord. The 2 shorter routes are started by jumping from a boat, which is half the fun. We chose the 2 kilometre, and in this short podcast we let you join us for part of the trip to Galway as I chat in the car about the upcoming swim with 2 of my best friends, Ballinspittle woman Bláthnaid, our chauffeur, and Douglas woman Aunt Scallan, and my old school buddy, who's now living in Timoleague. So, we're looking forward to the weekend, girls.
Yay!
And Bláthnaid, you're looking forward to the swim tomorrow?
Yes, I am.
And not just the swim?
Not just the swim. I'm looking forward to the scenery and the socialising and the crack.
and why did you take up swimming?
I guess I've always been a swimmer, but just not a very good one. And I suppose I used to sit on the shore and look at the people out doing what I would have termed proper swimming, in quotes, and think, geez, I should have done that earlier, I should have learned to swim properly, or, because I kind of learned to swim the Irish way, just throwing yourself in at the beach and never learning a stroke, And then during the first COVID, during the first lockdown, there was somebody local doing swimming lessons, open water swimming lessons, and I decided to give it a go, because, there wasn't that much else to do, and after the first lesson I was hooked, and, and just went on from there, really.
What is it about open water swimming, do you think, Bláthnaid? What do you like about it?
I think I did a good bit of length swimming in swimming pools, and it got very tedious and monotonous. But when you're out in the open water, just the freshness of it, the salt water, I think, is more special than any other kind of water.
And there's the social aspect.
And absolutely, yeah. So it was something that when I moved back from Dublin, that it was a lovely way to catch up with yourself, and anytime I go swimming, I say I must go more often. Maybe next year.
And you're living outside Bandon now, so what are your sweet spots for swimming? I know Loughnine is a good distance, but there's
so I love Garrettstown and Gary Lucas with the waves, although it's probably not good swimming, but it's good splashing around, so that's I love that. And I'm from around there originally, so when we were growing up we always loved going to Sandy Cove, because you could jump in off the wall when the tide was in. And
now Sandy Cove is famous for like a really proper swim.
Yeah, there was none of that going on back then. And then in Chidani, and I really like Red Strand as well, and I want to get over to the sauna one of these weekends.
And
kind of into mindfulness. You're a coach, so do you think there's like comparisons between swimming and an element of mindfulness to the whole thing?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, in your swim, you can only be in your swim, you know, and you have to be in your swim, if you know what I mean. And it's a good place to really focus your mind, you know, because you have to be totally present in your body, and that's really what mindfulness is all about. It's paying attention to the present moment, whatever you're doing in that present moment. So swimming is very good for grounding you in the present moment, you know, and noticing sensation, like whether it's the water on your face or the freezingness of the water, you know, all of those things, noticing all of those sensations in your body, and noticing your reactions to them as well. You know, when it's cold, how do you respond to that? What do you do with that? You know, and I think I find that really interesting.
And do you think there's any reason why you see an awful lot of gangs of women together swimming nowadays, much more so than gangs of men, really? Or men can be a bit more competitive and women seem to be a little bit more in it for the friendship?
Yeah, definitely. And we were even commenting on that earlier, and you know, that it can be a great way to just connect with people. And I think it's interesting that there are a lot of women, you know, around our age, shall we say, you know, who, you know, kind of 40s, 50s, who maybe have a little bit more time now at the weekends. They're not maybe ferrying people here, there and everywhere, and they've got a little bit more space in their lives to do something for themselves. But it can be hard to kind of connect with people at this age as well, and it's a great way to just have that connection that's, you know, kind of irrespective of what you do for a living, or, you know, where you live, or what you do outside of the swim. You're just there with the water, and there's something very connecting about that, I think.
Yeah. And like Bláthnaid, your job would be kind of stressful at times too, so is it a good way to get away from stress?
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic, and I think your mind just wanders, and like I think it's probably a great place to come up with ideas or resolve things as well. It's just very healing.
So we're on our way to a swim on the Galway Mayo boarding this weekend. So what are you expecting from the weekend, guys, from the swim?
So unlike most of the swims we do, this one we jump off a boat. So
a bit of a thrill.
So maybe a little thrill, and it's also because we don't do that very often. I remember last year being quite nervous about it. So I know what to expect this year. So I'm looking forward to it more, because it's quite nice then to be right in the middle of the water rather than making your way out. So I think and people spread out very quickly, whereas when there's usually a flurry at the beginning when everyone's getting in the water, and it can be very, I don't know, there's a lot of people crossing over and things like that. And again, last year I just think the more aggressive swimmers just swum off, and the rest of us were able to get our own pace, and it just was nicer.
Yeah, it's a more gentle way to start because you're already in the water before you start.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to tomorrow, Anne?
I always love jumping off boats. So, you know, I like that. I'm looking forward to that. And I love the scenery up there, you know, in the fjord is just incredibly beautiful. And there's a great sense of achievement, you know. This is kind of the most organised swim I ever do. I did it last year as well. And, you know, they have the kind of finishing line. I've never done a swim or many events with a finishing line before. So that's, you know, that's a great sense of achievement for somebody who's not done a lot of sporting activities. And then, you know, the hot whiskey afterwards is always very welcome as well.
And you start to see people that you've seen before at swims once you keep doing them, don't you?
Yeah,
it's great.
You might see some familiar faces, and even some from Cork.
So. And even with the Cork swims, there was lots of people who had travelled from Dublin and different parts of Ireland. So it's probably a small enough community.
Yeah, and I think for us, one of the lovely things about this weekend is that we leave Cork, you know, because obviously Cork is fabulous, and you know, whoever wants to leave Cork, but you know, we leave for this weekend, and so we have a weekend away together as well. So the swim is just a part of it.
So, we were well on our way to Galway. The weather was warm, the night was closing in, and the next morning we woke to a dull but still balmy day. The swim went off without too much drama, but on the way back, after a detour around Connemara, we found ourselves in the middle of one of the most frightening thunder and lightning storms, summer outside Limerick. So apologies for the background noise, as we all attempted to pretend all was normal, despite the constant pounding on the roof of the car.
So, ladies, how did you
Oh,
get
that was
on?
right.
It's lightning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
how did you get on yesterday?
Great, I think.
Great.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. Great fun.
It was lovely conditions and a very enjoyable swim.
And Bláthnaid, you were very fast because you got your time today. So, what do you
Yeah.
attribute that to?
I think the fact that it was being measured just brought out a little bit of the more competitive, the competitor in me, and also then maybe because it was kind of flat, you kind of could see people that were passing you out, so you kind of were able to focus on people a little bit more. But it was definitely just felt a bit like a more competitive undertaking.
And Anne, how did you get on? Did you like the water?
I did like the water. I love jumping in because that's the kind of distinctive thing about the Killary Fjord Swim is you have to jump in off the boat, and that was great fun. And the water was quite clear and it wasn't very cold, which is unusual. I think fjord is supposed to be a couple of degrees colder, but it was not lovely and warm. Yeah, so it was lovely. It was great fun. There was a lot of thrashing around at the start, but I just kept to the side, and then it was very nice. Really? Yeah.
It was good fun, and ladies, we were a bit disappointed we got no t-shirts.
I know.
Because we get a t-shirt on each swim. So we have a nice little collection built up now, nice collection. But we got back, and maybe because we were dilly-dallying so much and having a bit of fun, having a little hot whiskey, that we were too late for the t-shirts. And now, on the way back, it's thunder and lightning in Limerick.
Cats and dogs. Yeah.
But it was all worth it.
Oh, listen to that.
Oh my god.
It was, and the weather up there was really nice. Yes, I mean yesterday, the day of the swim, was gorgeous. It started off kind of misty, but it cleared, and it was just beautiful. And everybody was hanging around afterwards. There was a gorgeous atmosphere. Yeah, it was great fun.
And there was a nice bit of crack in the hostel last night.
Yeah.
And there's no more to be said about that. That shall remain with us. What goes unto her stays unto her.
The building is beautiful. I was talking to my brother there, who worked there years ago. He said it was all totally rebuilt. So, but it's really beautiful.
Very modern and
Yeah.
But yet it's very, like, it's in a beautiful part of the world, but it doesn't stand out, you know. It's really sympathetically built in the landscape,
Yeah, that whole
which is
idea
gorgeous.
of blending into the landscape.
Yeah, and it has a green roof on it, you know, one of those sedum roofs, and it's quite low slung, so it just looked beautiful. And they've orientated it really lovely, so when you wake up in the morning, you just throw open the curtains and you're looking down the fjord, you know, which is just beautiful. Really, really lovely.
so all in all, a successful weekend once we make it home safe through this thunder and lightning storm.
Yeah.
Okay, so and Anne, you met lots of people from all over the place, all swimmers.
I did, yeah, and that was really nice because I think we met people from the very top of Ireland in County Down all the way down to the bottom, you know, Wexford, Cork, Dublin, Sligo, Down, Antrim. You know, that was really lovely because everybody had their own tale to tell about their own favourite swim, and you know, we were exchanging stories and tips on where were nice swimming spots, and I think we've probably lured quite a few people down to West Cork, which is always good. And it was lovely because the hostel threw on a dinner for us last night, and you know, it was a really nice chance to get chatting to people, you know, and share a glass of wine and hear how everybody else got on. So yeah, that was one of the really lovely parts of the weekend, to be honest, for me.
So there you have it, a little taster of what to expect on an organised swim or weekend away with the girls. We had a really brilliant weekend and we're already getting ready to book for next year's Killary Great Fjord Swim. And just to let you know, yes, we did make it home, safe and sound, eventually.
Thanks for listening to the Southern Stars from A to C podcast series. This episode was produced and presented by Southern Star editor Siobhán Cronin and edited by me, Dylan Mangan. This was the 6th episode focusing on sea swimming, so if you enjoyed it, please be sure to check out our other 5 episodes with people like author Cathy Duggan and 4 of the men behind the iconic Fast Net swim. Keep an ear out for our next episode, featuring an interview with a man who has swam from Fastnet to Crookhaven and Bullrock to Beara, Ken O'Shea. For stories like this and more, visit southernstar.ie/podcasts, where you can swim through previous episodes. And be sure to pick up a copy of this Thursday's newspaper in shops across West Cork or online via subscribe.southernstar.ie. Please rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. And thanks for listening.